dad tried to get us a hardship license so we could go to the shows by ourselves, and that was all that. It wasn't that he didn't want to support us, but I mean, he'd show up on show day and say good job, and he'd go back to work, But he wanted us to, and don't get me wrong, I guarantee you, there's kids like that coming to San Angelo Stock Show where 100% of it is their entire investment, And so when Tommy brought me to the first meeting with y'all, I mean, I was all in from day one because I was like, out of everything that we get asked to give money to, this is the one I want to support the most. I mean, out of everything, I mean, it just, there's so many benefits to it for someone who's donating or receiving, as far as like how it makes you feel, or if it's a cause that you care about. And then on the receiving end, like, you never know how $250 or $500 could completely change a kid's outlook on it. Especially, let's say a kid's gone to 6 shows for 6 years, class, hit the truck, and then the next show he goes to, he's thinking about quitting, and he makes the sale. And then before the floor was 500, he goes, man, I only made $500 on this thing. Like, I think I'm gonna quit doing this. But instead of being 500, it's $2,500. It gives them enough, courage to be like, I'm gonna do that again. And that's awesome. I think the Syndicate is really important, and I think the model, you talked about the Fort Worth Syndicate. I didn't even know that existed before, and it's even more impressive. Was $200,000 last year?
Us in San Angelo?
Yes.
Yep.
I mean, $200,000 raised from a group of men in a small community, and even though it's 100,000 people here, it's still a small community. When you're comparing other major livestock shows and what they're in, the size of San Antonio, the size of Fort Worth, the size of Houston. I mean, putting up $200,000 in a year, and most of it doesn't come in a year. I mean, how much of it was like within 48 hours of the sale?
God, it gives
Almost
me
half.
anxiety thinking about it.
Yeah, $100,000 2 days before the sale coming in.
It's
I can
Check's
barely
in the mail.
I can barely even talk to Jack getting close to it. He's just like, yeah.
He's awful. He's awful.
Well, we've done what I feel is like, a bunch of good
Fourth quarter,
things. We 100% are a fourth quarter crew, which is, it's good. It works, right? One of these days
Till
we'll
it doesn't.
learn to get a little bit more ahead of the game. But as long as we keep producing.
Whenever y'all learn, tell the Cowboys how to do it.
Yeah.
I think Zach probably agree with me. That, I mean, it's grown to be one of my favorite days of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, after the show, it's the most gratifying. I don't know. I get more out of that day than probably. It's nuts. The feeling. It's hard to describe.
It is
the feeling. Those kids in the back are crying, hugging you. It's a weird feeling. And like I said, you have no idea their background.
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea if it's mom and dad, if it's just mom, you have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
But to see the ones that it really affects and the raw emotion, it's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the notes we've had. I mean,
the crossbow.
Probably 1,000
The
notes.
crossbow's got to be the best one.
I think so too. That kid said.
So they have, if
thank
we
you
buy them in the sale, then they have to write a thank you note, and we get a stack of them every year. Go ahead.
He says, "Dear San Angelo Stock Show Syndicate, thank you for buying my project. With this money, I will use this money for my future projects, and if there's enough left over, I'm gonna buy a crossbow."
Yeah. It says something to the tune of, my mom said no, but I think I'm still going to do it or something like that.
Even though my mom said I couldn't have one.
Yeah.
But I'm like, guys, we don't have any. We don't. Never mind. I said we should send him a crossbow.
Yeah, we should.
And then
Need to track him
then
down.
we talked. We
Liability.
send him a crossbow.
Yeah.
He shoots mailman. Well, what can go wrong? Where do you get that? Nonprofit.
It sure wasn't the Syndicate in San Angelo.
Just don't put the
But it was
return
really funny.
Yeah.
It's just a raw. That is a. Mama didn't see that. That kid, she's like, go write the letter. He's like, cool.
Yeah.
Here's my letter.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's been some great ones, but those, I mean, I enjoy seeing those. It's really neat.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those kids, we've had plenty of hugs,
Mm-hmm.
taking plenty of pictures with them, and I mean, it's awesome. Like I said, I look forward to that day. Like I wake up that morning excited, and then afterwards, long day, but yeah, you felt like you've done some good, you know.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
So that's the
Well, the whole premise behind Stock Show is to teach, right? It's not supposed to be a profitable gig. It's like Stern was saying, it's supposed to be instilling knowledge for the future. Just like we have attributes that we still use today.
Creating leaders for the future.
But you gotta also realize, I mean, I was talking to a buddy in college years ago, and he would help out with his hometown stock show, and he would take a week off of school and he would go help out with all the stock shows and come back. And I asked him, why do you do that? He goes, because I grew up in a home that I didn't have anything. And when I got to go spend time with those animals, I got to connect with it. I got to learn from it. I got to be with other kids. I got to be with the people that I want to grow with. And then I got to learn how to sell that project and learn to let some of this stuff that I was dealing with at home go. You know, I got to grow with it, and then I get to let it go. And then I get to restart. And I
That's
think building those life lessons to not only help us in the economics or help us in the future of developing our careers, but also somewhat on the emotional side of it, of being able to let kids deal with probably home issues and then developing and letting that go throughout their livestock project. And I think that's why some kids get really attached to their projects.
yeah.
Well, and then it's not just for the sale, raising money for the mechanics.
Guys, it's huge.
That's been
It is.
huge.
It is that thing took off in a hurry.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think anybody had ever, I mean, no one had ever really tried to build it, right? It was just kind of there.
It's harder, right? Because there's no sale for the there's no formal sale for the project. So I feel like our group, you know, the guys that kind of inside the syndicate that focus on the ag mechanics, eventually one day they're going to figure something really good out there.
Mhm.
And I think it's gonna do something cool. What it is, I don't know, but they're figuring out how to really, you know, either buy projects or just get more involved.
Expand
there.
on the ag mechanics, because there's so little that people know about it. A lot of people know about stock showing, but what about ag mechanics?
I mean, we raise money for that too, right? You can, if you donate, you can say 50% of that goes to ag mechanics, 50% to the sale, 100%. You know, you can, if you're a donor, you can tell us which direction you want it to go on that front. But then, you know, as far as ag mechanics go, right? Schools and or individuals, you know, will build a project. They'll enter in, I don't know how many categories there are. There's a ton. Enter in a category, let's say there's a trailer category, there's a game category, there's like a furniture, there's quite a bit. And, you know, either that kid by themselves or, you know, at their school with a group of them, they'll build that project out and then take it around to shows. So it's, you know, not, the shows aren't, and I don't know enough, honestly, about how that side of it works, but they don't lose their project, right? So that's their project for the year.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll take that one from show to show to show. And some of them already have prearranged agreements, right, back home or wherever to sell that to somebody, or to give that to somebody. But, you know, it's just it's a little different animal. The thing with ag mechanics that got me, I've seen it. I've you know, gone and seen the projects and all that, but kind of real quick, didn't really spend the time and walk up and down every aisle until I think it was either 20 or 21. And I'd been telling myself, man, I want to go over there. I want to go over there when it's quiet, right? And really look at these projects. So it's in the spur, and, you know, the spur is jam-packed full of projects. And there was nobody in there but me. I was like, perfect. You know, I wanted to really kind of pay attention and see what all was out there. And so I did up and down, left and right, whatever. And there was one kid. I wish I would have got his name. There's one kid standing by his project, ready to present his project and tell you all about it to anybody that came by. Well, all the other kids were gone. It was late. It was late in the day. All the other kids had said, you know what, all the visitors are gone. I'm done, except for him. He was still standing there, with his looking professional, right? Just in case somebody came by. So sure enough, go over there. And he presented his project extremely well. Where he sourced his materials, what type rods he was burning, you name it. His paint color, why he chose that paint color, every aspect of the project. And that hit me on the ag mechanic side that, man, this is pretty cool. I hope we figure something out there, figure something out big there. So it's neat.
That those trades are so, we were kind of talking this before podcast, but not just in Angelo, just everywhere, trades are so hard to get new people into. And so that is a great model to teach, woodworking, manufacturing, just the outsourcing aspect of how to build a project. That translates in any aspect of industrial companies nowadays. You'd be surprised how many people don't know how to go source materials.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a great education. As I hope more schools teach it, because there is such a lucrative market for our youth going into the next, we were talking about it to lunch, this next 10, 15 years, there's going to be such an advantageous market for this youth to grab a hold on, because the last 20 years was technology. Every school invested so much in technology. Now that you got AI coming out, we got some other stuff coming out with technology, and we've lost that workforce for this trades. Man, anybody that learns it is going to rocket with it. And so the fact that 4-H, FFA schools, they're running with it is, astronomically awesome in my opinion. And so are y'all looking at trying to put a program together for donations for it?
We already have one. And there's like a subcommittee, inside the syndicate that focuses on that. And they do really well over there. They hand out, do you remember how many Milwaukee tools? It's hundreds
of drills and saws, and we partner with Angelo Plumbing Supply.
Yep.
They're unbelievable. And Grogan's,
mm-hmm.
and with our guys get together, and I want to say like 80% of the kids got something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I wish I knew the exact. It's a bunch. Like nobody. Some kid. You're going home with Milwaukee drills.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Just, and it's a random draw. It's
or
not
backpacks or pack-out kits.
First, second, third. It is random. Just draw them. Here we go. Come on. And so these kids are coming up like, really? And I think got everybody gloves last year.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody tape measures, but the large majority of the kids were home with power tools. They were like, that's neat. I show up, show this, and hey, I got $300 for the drills I'm taking home. So, but they set a deal up that subcommittee, like Zach said, sets up and just hands out. It's great. And that, I think, word of mouth has went kind of crazy with ag teachers. But one of the goals we had talked about, we've got some guys, like some long-term donors involved. And when all that stuff kicks off, we had talked at one point about maybe an application for these schools that maybe don't have a welder, right? So hey, I think the only criteria is you have to come to our show, you have to come send. But hey, fill out an application for whoever, Cristobal ISD. Hey, this is what we don't have. I think it'd be really cool to drop ship them a welder from us, right?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And I think that is something that is going to be real pretty quick.
Mhm.
But that welder can be used by the next 1,000 kids that go through
Yeah.
the shop.
Touches everybody.
I know some of the schools that don't have a lot of money, they may go to Zach's house. He may have a welder, so he lets kids come over and do the projects there, right?
Mhm.
So it would be neat to help outfit ag barns, and that in turn, hopefully, will push kids to more, into more of these fields.
Well, we need to sit down and have a conversation later on. New Holland is partnered with Snap-on,
Uh-huh.
and I think they have a program. New Holland sponsors our show, and we're obviously a New Holland dealer. But we need to have sit down, and I'll make some phone calls on that regards. So there might be a pre-existing program from New Holland to do some type of incentive program for FFA, 4-H,
Yeah.
stock shows.
That'd be great.
That'd be awesome.
So they just say New Holland on it. They just snap on wrench.
I don't think the kids would mind. Give me the wrench.
I mean, they're nice wrenches. Our mechanics buy them. So
I'm curious about one thing. We're in the formation of all this 6 years ago. Did you have a background in showing or either of y'all?
I didn't. I
don't-
didn't. My family. So my mom is from Brownwood,
Mhm.
and all her family, does that. So all my cousins grew up doing it. We spent a bunch of time in Brownwood. So I would help. When we were in town,
Mhm.
I'd go help my cousins, exercise, feed, whatever they were doing, right? And I always remember, didn't really realize it back then, but now I've never really forgot that, that my cousins had that responsibility back then, and we were 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We were young kids, and they had that responsibility. I did not have,
Mhm.
that type of responsibility at that age, right? So looking back on it, that's always given me an appreciation for the kids that come and show. And, I do know what they're doing. I did not do it, but I helped, right? I saw it and for years and years, right? That's really my connection to it is, and I had some cousins that, most of my cousins, right? They weren't getting money from Mr. Holt, right? They were the kids just trying to make the sale to get the floor,
Mhm.
right? Even if it was $500. So they're the kids we're buying.